You're ready, we can
I'm
start.
ready.
All right, let's go live. This is going live, Sherry. We're live. We're
We're
live.
live.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Fantastic.
It says that we're gonna have a little bit of a lag with the video, which is kind of. We really, like I said, I need faster upload speed. My download speed's fine. Um, it's my upload speed that is challenging.
I see.
And to the streaming gods we pray. I should have added them to the prayer list this week, really.
Yes,
The
really.
streaming spirits,
Techno
the
gods.
techno gods. Yeah, I need to start adding them in since I'm relying more and more. Oh, I hear the dog. The dog is. Yeah, our stream status unfortunately is very poor, so
Now, can you hear me okay?
I
There's
can
no
hear you
feedback.
just fine. So, but
Good.
now it says now it's excellent. So that this is the nature of YouTube Live. What can I say? Is that
Yeah.
it varies up and down, with web traffic and everything. But it's always best to not start it exactly on the hour, because when we do that, it's like everybody's starting things
It's
like in it right at that time.
right
So
at
I
that
always
time.
start mine
Right.
just a few minutes before or a few minutes after. Um, I know we had one person that was waiting in the wait room, and I do have the comment thread up so I can look at that if people want to ask us questions or say something or just say hey. But let me introduce you. This is Sherry Teagle. This is my friend Sherry Teagle. I hope it's pointing the correct way. I think it is. Because it might reverse my hands, and so I'll be pointing to the wall, but I believe it is because I can't see. I'll know in a second when the lag catches up. So I'm just going to keep my hands up here for a second. And I don't know. Nope. I gotta switch them. I gotta switch 'em.
I'm on that side. Hi.
It reverses them. So wait. I'm gonna wait for it for the lag. This is. I don't know why. I'm giggling. That's good actually. Um, yeah, I had to wait. It's like a 10-second lag or something before. Ah, yep, there we go. This is my friend Sherry Teagle. Okay, so we met in 2007. Can you believe it's been over 13 years? It was right after the spring equinox, really, or right about around the time of the spring equinox,
Right.
because it was St. Patrick's Day when your friend Christine had passed away after a long struggle with illness, and we had a mutual friend whose car was not reliable, so I drove them to Baltimore. That's where Miss Sherry Teagle lives, is in Baltimore. She's one of the Baltimore Huns. Yeah, I. And
Amen.
yeah, hi, hun.
Hi,
Yeah.
Hein.
See, for me, I'm more of a sweetie, right?
Hey,
Yeah,
Hein.
sweetie. Of course, sweetie. Whatever you say.
Yeah, sweetie.
If I use dearie, you're probably in trouble.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
but that's how we initially met through tragedy. Then brought us and forged a friendship through another, and then Sherry introduced me to interesting things. Shall we say? She introduced me to matrix energetics and a little bit of Sikhem as well, and um, you shared some of the Gendai Reiki practices, which is more of the traditional Japanese Reiki. And Sherry does so much. She does, let's
right.
see, matrix energetics, Psych K, all love, Sikhem. Oh, let me see, what else does she do? Reiki, of course, just Reiki, and Tantra as well. working with Tantra, working to help people open their hearts and open to the sacred in their everyday existence and into very right down into the very cells of their body. Hopefully I got that all right.
Yeah.
Well, it's always
You did a
introducing
great job.
people. You don't really think of it as a skill, but it really is a skill to really properly introduce people. And you're my first
No, I
guest.
agree.
You're my very
Oh, I
first guest
am.
I've ever had
Okay.
on Mooneagle and Friends. So it's
Yes.
exciting. I've been
I'm
yay! So
honored
I'm
to
so
be
happy to
here
see you.
with my dear friend
So
Thomas.
normally I'm like praying that people are commenting because I'm like I have to have something to talk about, right? But when we were talking about,
Right.
so Sherry and I talk often.
Say that again. You
I,
broke up a little bit.
I
When we're
said
talking
Sherry
about
and I talk often on the phone. Yeah,
oh yes,
and when we were discussing, like, well, what could we talk about for our live stream chat? And we got into this very interesting, very long conversation that went late into the night. And now I wish I'd written it down. So,
yeah, me too.
but uh, spoiler
Me
alert,
too.
we're probably not safe for work. If you're watching this later,
Probably
probably not. We will talk about just about anything, really. And we don't. Oh, my phone has decided to turn itself back on. Uh-oh. I know.
How
This thing
dare
is
it?
just crazy.
How is that? What is
It,
that about? Which reminds me
yeah.
to mute mine.
So,
Let me this on do
one
not
of the reasons I wanted
disturb.
to turn mine off is because we've got that community-wide alert that goes off that's very loud and annoying. Yeah. So, I will try and at least put it on airplane mode and see if it overrides that. Put that over there. But as I recall, one of the things that we talked about was power and, versus love. And, because of experiences that we've had with folks or heard or read about or just been seeing I think if you're in the spiritual community for long enough, you start to see groups form. And I forgot to say that you're also a charismatic speaker.
Oh,
But see,
well, thank you.
charisma's gonna come into this because we see people who do have gifts, spiritual gifts, and also have high charisma, and at some point, the integrity of their heart does not keep up with their ability.
That can happen.
Yeah.
And it can be very, it's like the more people you attract to you, the more they put you up on a pedestal, the greater risk it is to fall in love with and begin to believe all those worshiping thoughts they have of you. When, oh my goodness, we're all just human beings here. I have never met a full, what they call siddha, someone who is capable of working on multi dimensions and isn't really just a human, but
Okay.
they're kind of beyond human, but also human. But when they're in the body, I'm not sure, having never met one, whether or not they don't, fall for some of the ego stuff that can come up.
Sure.
Negative ego. I mean, I think that in a body, you kind of need an ego to figure out how to put your pants on in the morning, or you just walk out without them, which in India they often do. So it's acceptable in India. Not so much here. You get to be put in a jail.
Yeah.
Although I don't think that they'd stay there very long if they're a real sitta, because they'd just not be
Just not
there.
be there.
They'd just be somewhere else. But I don't know if people know what.
All right, let's try this again. Try calling. So.
You're back.
I am. Yeah, I had to even shut down Skype and then do it back in. So
Wow.
I was chatting with, and telling people what I was doing, and I know we have more viewers than what YouTube says because I go back later and I look at the stream and it says you had so and so many viewers, and I was like, well, why weren't they saying anything? So, um, if you want to say hey or you have a question for either one of us, type it in the comment section. I do remind you there is a slight lag, so give us a little bit to catch up with it. So, but yeah, we were talking about
Somebody who lives multidimensionally, and I may be misusing the term.
Mhm.
I know it also means that they have powers.
Okay.
But it's did you know? And oh God, my mind is mush sometimes. But I believe Sikhem means power of powers, which is love. The true power of powers is love. And um, all of the siddhas that I've heard about have this, they have a love that's so intense that it enslaves you. You don't want to be away from that level of pure love, unconditional love, pervasive unconditional love. And so it you become like the moth to the flame.
Yeah, and the flame burns.
And I'm lucky. And it does burns your ego right up. Can. And luckily, I've never met anyone like that because I'd follow them around like a little dog. I know I would.
Well, I always,
Of course, until I was comfortable, and then I'd not because I like if I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you all have our thing. Well, of course, the joke that I put in, that I belonged to a group for a while that put the cult in the occult. And
I
yeah,
have. Yeah.
um, so Tracy, hello Tracy. She said that she had a question of what Excidit is and what they do. I think you just answered that. Is that
I hope
Yeah,
I
you did.
did.
So again,
Someone, I don't know if people have heard of Neem Karoli Baba, and not Muktananda, but his guru Nityananda. And to me, it's interesting. I don't really call Ramana Maharshi a Siddha, but I think that because he never um, played in the multidimensional, he wasn't making things appear that weren't there before and things like that. He didn't, change places, but he was an incredibly awake person, and anyone around him. One of my favorite teachers, Papaji, was one of his students, and Arjuna Ardog is the person that I learned about all of these men from. And he had asked, he was with Papaji, and Papaji said, "Go ask my sister what she thinks of Ramana Maharshi." And he walked over and asked her, and all she did was burst into tears, and then Papaji started to cry because of the love, the pervasive, intense love that radiates from these beings. So Ramana Maharshi is one of those. But he didn't end up. So I love the stories of some of the siddhas where they won't let him on the train. So the train leaves, and the same guy is waiting for the train at each station to be let on.
yes,
So it's kind of like, so you're not going to let me on? I'll just be here and remind you who you're working with here.
that sounds like.
Or the one that I think it was Neem Karoli Baba that they wouldn't let him on the train. They took him off the train, put him in the station, and the train wouldn't leave.
See, if I had to,
Even
if I had that kind of, I guess, way of being, I like the idea of being the person that's at every single station that they try to pass.
yeah,
Because I find
right.
that funny, and it's not inconveniencing the train and anybody of the passengers at all, but it's really funny, and it gets the point across.
Yeah,
Uh,
it does.
I've always said that, when I become when I come into that level of being, I want to do funny stuff.
And I believe actually Neem Curly Baba was kind of like that. He was somebody who did funny stuff.
You know, just like what? Because I feel like someone, and also I journeyed to see Coyote today, so
I knew you were going to say Coyote. I went, you got some Coyote in you. Of course,
no.
you want to
Well,
do
I
this
don't
play.
know if I have that in me. I do have a little fox energy, fox medicine, so
Oh,
I'm a little
yes.
tricksy.
Did you know that that's my
Woo-hoo.
power
Yes, I
animal?
think we discussed that
I've
once.
only done one kind of thing like that, and that was a
A
fox.
fox, yeah.
A fox.
But coyotes, I'm always like, I always kind of look as down askance from him and saying like, what are you really up to, right? And as far as tricksters go, that I know he's not trying to do anything to me, but chaos is like in his wake, right? I mean, that's just what he does. And so I tend to be more comfortable with Crow, and which is also a trickster, but it's a very different kind of trickster.
I just saw a great meme on Facebook how the crow will attack a bald eagle and peck
Mm-hmm.
at him, and the it showed a crow on the back of an eagle, and it says that the eagle just doesn't care. He just keeps going higher and higher and higher until
Crow,
the
yeah,
crow falls off from lack of
yeah,
oxygen.
and that's kind of like rise above. That's kind of that's
Yeah,
the eagle way. That's that I still have not
I like
perfected.
it.
Um,
I like
yeah, it's really
I,
difficult.
I like to occasionally think I can touch on it
Yeah,
occasionally, but
yeah. Well, that brings up and kind of what I've been thinking about is like we've been in this about recent events, people. So if
oh,
so, there will be no monetization on this video. Uh-oh, to be... We're having Skype issues tonight, guys.
oh, there
Yeah.
you are. You're
So
back.
apparently it's Skype. It's not my streaming. It's the Skype network that's doing it.
I
So,
see.
but
Wonder if there's any way to figure out how to do this on Zoom in the future.
there is, I think, but I looked at the technical way of doing it, and via my streaming software, it looked like it was just absolutely insane. Like, I was like, oh god, no. You mean there's an easy plugin for Skype? I've got Skype, we'll do that, right?
Right.
So,
Oh well.
yeah, and yeah. Oh, and now the stream
It,
out.
it maybe it's the universe trying to tell us to change the
Change
subject.
this.
What else should we talk
Well, yeah. And of course now I'm getting now your stream health is sucky. And I'm like, meh. Technology is great when it works. In response to somebody's comment. I'm grateful for this.
Right.
I just wish it was a bit more reliable. Um, and it's frustrating because I'm like, oh, I finally got you here and I want to talk to you on the stream.
Yeah.
And for some reason, your window changed size. I had it sized one way and now it's not sized to match mine. Let's change that again. So
Uh,
I can do that in the editor. And now we should be back. So they'll probably be, now we're back to excellent again, so here we go. So
hallelujah.
one of the things I have struggled with, and I'm sure you have as well, is that while the pandemic's been going on, while we've had political unrest going on, while we've had social unrest, long overdue social unrest, I might add, due to systemic racism, due to classism, due to everything across the board, and watching people how they behave, and then for me getting really disheartened disappointed in humanity, and then getting disappointed in myself when I get kind of hard and bitter. Thinking, I'm supposed to rise and soar above all that, right?
Right, ignore that crow on your back.
Right, ignore that
Pecking
crow.
at
Well, actually, I keep drawing crow from the animal medicine cards, and it says focus on the positive state, and I'm like, really? I've tried mixing those cards up too, but
Right, interesting.
yeah, he consistently comes up. Wolf has come up. Coyote has come up a lot, obviously. Um, but yeah, I mean, coming back into that place of loving kindness in a definitely what appears to be a very unkind world. Um, and feeling your feelings, feeling your anger at the state of things, but not letting it make you into something that you don't want to be. And I have come into that place where I'm like, whoops, try again, try again. Let's see if this works. Are you back?
I'm back.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm sorry. I was getting to this really deep emotional question.
I was like,
and I was like, and how are you with that? Like, how are you managing this? How are you navigating this? And then it was like, I was like, she seems very quiet. And then I checked Skype, and it's like connection lost, network problem. I'm like, ugh.
so tell me what the last thing that you remember saying. You were saying about trying to embrace the feelings without it changing you.
Yeah.
And something about kindness.
Yeah, and of course, Sherry's on my prayer list, so she saw the prayers that went out this evening, which was like that we stay calm, centered, and kind amidst the chaos that is around us right now. And that's really difficult. And I've been judging myself a lot for not being more evolved or, untouchable by the circumstances of the world. And yeah, you're shaking your head, Sherry.
I'm sitting there, and maybe our job isn't to be untouched.
Right. Yeah.
But the honesty of this human play is to be touched by these things. I would like to try and be touched, respond, and then come back to kindness.
Okay.
It's not easy. I've watched myself feel a lot of hatred at times, and then I go, really? Do I want to live with this? No. I don't want to feel hatred. I don't want to feel, oh, I wish these people would just die. I mean,
maybe a little bit.
Just die. Go away. And I know that is the kind of it sometimes is a reflecting back the energy that's coming at me that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be that mirror. I don't want to reflect back the ugliness that I see coming at me from racists, from people who care nothing about the human suffering that they see. I don't want to reflect that back at those people. That just seems to be getting sucked into the energy. Yeah. That it's like the trick of getting sucked into that same energy. It's not helpful, but it's hard to hold and witness the pain. And that is what can be overwhelming, especially for sensitive people. For someone like you that's an empath, and I have a lot of empathy, and I pick up other people's feelings. I've noticed recently, we talked about this, I think, that I was having all this anxiety, and I was trying to do my loving myself, it's okay, you can sit with me, I love you, anxiety, I understand, it's okay. And that went on until it was 4 a.m. and I said, that's the fuck enough, get out. And immediately it went away. And I went, oh, this maybe wasn't mine. And I hope we don't mind me
Oh, no,
dropping the
no. We're
first
not
F-bomb.
monetizing this. Don't. F-bomb away. I did.
Okay.
You're talking to someone who did once write a blog post entitled "The Healing Power of Fuck Off."
That's right. I love that. I love that blog. So anyway, I just realized that we are picking up not only our own chaos, but that we are being empathetic and picking up other people's pain as well and fear. And so, how are we able?
Either you're really thinking hard, or we had a Skype issue. Oh, we have a Skype issue. Sorry, guys. We'll get her back. There we go. I was like, either she's really thinking hard about that next response, or there's a Skype issue.
Yeah. What I was saying was, how do we stay compassionate and with empathy and feel our feelings? How I can tell you what I do, and that's I don't ever watch the news.
Ah, yeah.
I don't watch the news, but I get on Facebook and it's in my face every day anyway.
Yeah.
I never watch it on television. To me, it's poisonous. It's all bad news. Often they even make the weather the biggest bad news. And not that the weather hasn't occasionally been really bad news, but it's almost like, well, we might have a terrible storm any minute now. Well, thank you for the anxiety. When it's really actually happening and coming, then we need to know, but we don't need to be terrified for days beforehand when it never really comes to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I avoid the news, and I may be doing a little bit more, numbing out than I should.
Oh, you used to use the S word there.
Which S word?
Should.
Oh, I did.
That's the only word that's the only, like, naughty word that we're talking about right now is should.
I should stop shitting on myself.
Yeah.
Right. So my way of dealing with it sometimes is to not deal with it.
Yeah, and me too. I mean, as well. And I was today, even in my journey, I was just like, I feel guilty. I'm not in this protest. I'm not doing this. I'm not on the front lines with stuff, and this stuff matters. And my power animal looked at me and said, "That's not part of your story. That's not where your story is going. Your story goes that way." Not to say that what's going on over there is not important, and not that you can't help or honor it in some way. But hey, dude, the path's going that way. You can't be everywhere.
Right. And it's not safe to be out in dense quarters and on the streets right now. And I can't choose that for myself either. I try to. I think that what I'd say is I try to get the information out that has to be gotten out. I do pass on posts on Facebook that I feel like people need to know these things, but I try to also not pass on the most toxic ones. I try to keep a pretty positive, uplifting statement and image on the pages that I share. And when I send out my newsletter, I'm honest about the struggles that I'm going through too, but I bring them around to
my practice with connecting with nature. Because I have to get outside, I have to be in it while I'm practicing. Otherwise, I just go crazy. And
I lost. and I
Yeah, I know. We had Skype issues, and for some reason it keeps resizing your window, which is
that's
driving.
okay.
Well, we want to be able to see all of your whole face, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
I
I
see.
kind of want to be able to see all of you. Oh, yeah, why is it doing that, man? There we go. And I'm not sure why it does that every time we get disconnected, but it does. But then I fix it every time because I can do that. Yeah. So
You technical wizard.
yeah, Skype ring jingle here going in my head. There she is. You
So,
know,
what were these comments? I want to hear them.
yeah,
You
I
all
know you can't see them. So I'm gonna read basically what Sangaya has to say. She says, yes, I think the honesty of being human and embracing the emotions of this has helped me to be in tune with the earth, spirituality, humanity, and society. And it really motivated me to take action and deliver good karma, but also the shadow side of negative emotions. Sometimes when we can't, we just send a positive prayer, energy, healing to the cause. I do like watching the BBC. They stay to the point without the emotions and drama of the news. Oh yes, it's the BBC. No emotion allowed. Whereas we're like, oh my god, it's terrible. Look at this travesty. Blah 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 blah. You know, because we're Americans,
We are.
and that's okay. But yeah, while I was trying to reconnect, I was also speaking and telling them about that having a practice myself is really helpful. Um,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
might be the only time I feel good in a
tell me it comes.
huh.
I missed that. That having a practice is really good, is
Yeah,
what I
it's
heard.
been really helpful for me as a recentering. Whether it's my physical practice of Tai Chi or yoga, or if it's been, my prayer practice that I do, or journeying, or because it might be the only time I feel like not completely crazy all week long. Um,
My meditation practice and the exercise I do help me ground. I have started to walk on the grass
woo,
barefooted. That helps too. And the All Love weekly class that I
yeah.
do on Zoom has been amazing. And anybody that listens to this, just contact me. I'll send you the link. It's on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And what has, it's like for a while, it has been hard for me. There was a point in my life when joy was very easily accessible to
Mm-hmm.
me. But in the last few years, because I've lost people that I love to, you know, I've lost a very dear friend, Margie, and I've lost two young lovers. That kind of broke my heart to the point that it was a little harder to feel joy. I also have separated from a very dear friend, not ended the relationship, but I don't have access.
Someone just
So what I was
yeah.
saying was I've through it's like I've started to get access to joy again.
Okay.
And that has been lighting me up. It's just been surprising. It is always a surprise when it comes in. It's been
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get it about, because both of us have lost a lot of people in the past few years. Um,
yeah.
and and now, in a sense, we are lost to one another physically for most of us because we can't. I know. Oh yeah, that's right. That's our thing. The hugging. Because it'll be in about a week or so. It'll be like 7 months since my last hug with another person, right? And
Yeah, it's been over 7 months for
yeah,
me.
so that's huge. I mean, because we say, oh, it's love is a vibration, but as we're in the physical body, in the physical realm, that touch is a lot of how we deliver that feeling. and that closeness. And we can go without that for a while, for sure. But to have like completely it cut off in a time when we're most stressed, where we could
Right.
really use that resource. I was thinking today, I was like tense this after my journey. He's like, they're like, relax, allow yourself to be healed. I'm like, you know what would really be nice right now? It's just someone just put their hands on my shoulders and let me, And I was like,
You froze
yeah,
again.
and and knowing that that's not going to happen for a while, and I think that is really difficult. Adding on to everything else is this like that physical separation is so difficult. Um, and I have a question in the chat, so I'm gonna read the questions. It says, have you either of you found your meditation or sleeping practices being disturbed much more in 2020? I will answer for me, yes. Is that a yes from Sherry? That's a yes from Sherry. Yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, actually, for me, I probably have slept more. But then, if I get anxious at all, then I can't sleep.
Yeah.
So that really, and it's been interesting when I haven't been able to sleep, and I hear that other people
Yep.
are having the same thing.
Yep.
Then I go, so is it mine or somebody else's?
Well, and it's also collective. I mean, there's just a wave of unrest, and I don't think it's not that there hasn't been that kind of unrest before. It's just unique in the way that is when we've had events globally that we've not been as connected informationally as we are in this time, where information travels so fast.
Well, we can see the videos, and we couldn't always see.
Exactly. We're there. I was watching somebody's live stream of protest to figure out what's actually going on. I'm like right on their shoulder in a sense, virtually.
Yeah.
And to see, and that is really changed. And I hate to say it's all bad, that's all bad, because I don't think it is.
Okay, you
Uh-oh, she froze too. Here we go.
paused on.
Yeah, you paused
Come
and
back.
yeah, we lagged a little bit. I don't want to say that, having that connection and having that information is bad, because, it allows us to see what's actually going on in a way that we might not have heard. It's not secondhand anymore. And I feel that is really important for us to have a clear view of what is not right. What is not, people say, what do you mean not right? I mean, what is not useful and what is not supporting life and people. And at the same time, it can be very overwhelming. And so I don't think it's inherently wrong. I just think it's very new to the human experience. And I don't think we have developed the biological and psychological balances for that yet.
Yes, because it's one thing to be in a horrible situation, like a soldier at war. That would be completely overwhelming and horrifying. It's different to live in your house and bring that war into it so vividly.
And you just paused too, so I'm guessing that our connection. We'll just wait here for a second. You're back.
There we go.
Yeah,
we're back.
It's Skype. It's the Skype connection is what it is.
It's like because of the connection with all of this, we could put ourselves at any moment in the middle of war. And
I see.
I don't think that we really need to make that choice. I think that we need to be informed, but how much hard do we want to,
Yeah,
imbibe?
yeah, and and it's weird because I have that moral issue in my head. I'm like, well, I'm not. I have the luxury or the privilege of sitting this one out and like because this is disturbing to me, and I'm weighing that with like also I there's only so much that I can balance personally, and finding that what I feel. I always quote that to whom much is given, much is expected. Um, so, I can look at like, wow, I've been really, blessed in this way. I've been supported in this way, in a way that many others have not been. And to me, that means like, okay, well, that means that I am in a position to be of better service. And
Right.
I try to do that. And I also know that living is also about joy and expression and celebration, even when even amidst this, that but yet finding that balance, and again, um, has been hard for me, and I've definitely failed at it a lot. Hopefully I'm failing up. Do, 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 do. So we had way interesting stuff happen while you were gone.
Oh,
No.
cool. Sorry, I missed it.
No.
I have to watch it on the
Yeah, I
review.
was interested to see, like, because we've had, there's areas where it was probably buffering live. I wonder if it'll get smoothed out once it's, processed
Yeah.
for, just being on YouTube. But yeah, the chat disconnected while you were gone too. So
Oh, really?
yeah, it was like, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? No data.
Ah,
So we're reconnected. It'll stitch it back together, and it'll be an all seamless video at the end. I don't know how the audio and stuff will turn out, and maybe choppy in areas. We'll just see. Again, you're the first guest, so you get to experience all the
I get to get
wonders
all the.
of the technical. Oh my God!
There it goes again.
Beta testing, yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about, which has seemingly really shifted me,
Mm,
was some of Byron Katie's work. We've talked about her book "Loving What Is,"
mm-hmm.
and she has a bunch of wonderful books. But the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet,
I can do
and
that.
what she calls really good. But it's like she has these 4 questions. You fill out, in this situation, who angers me, aggravates me. It's just all these questions about the situation, and you're supposed to just let it all out about this person. You're not supposed to do it about yourself, about somebody
Yeah.
else. And then at the end, the 4 questions: is this true? Yes or no? And then the second question is, can you absolutely know that it is true? Yes or no? The fourth question is, how do you react? What happens when you believe this thought? And the last question is, who or what would you be without the thought? And and then you're supposed to turn it around. So if you're saying he lied to me, you say something like, I lied to me, or he didn't lie to me. And I saw her in a Omega, I can't remember what year, saw her live. She actually ended up sitting right behind me, and she was this radiant being. Before Wayne Dyer called her up on stage, he was introducing her, and she was working with somebody, and he was talking about his father didn't love him, and all the things that he had done. And is it true? Yes, it's true. Are you absolutely? Yes, I know it's true. How do you feel when you think this? I feel miserable. What would you be without it? Well, I'd feel a lot better. So turn it around. What my father doesn't love me. Turn it around. Yes, turn it around. I don't love my father, and he burst into tears. It's like that's a simplification,
Right, right.
but there was something about basically what happened to her that she was so crazy. She was in a halfway house, or she was somewhere, and she was up in the attic because she scared all the people. And she, oh shoot,
Oh no. Hey, we're
there
back.
we go.
Yep, we're back.
Anyway, she ended up sleeping on the floor because she didn't think she deserved to sleep in the bed. And at some point, she just had this miraculous awakening where she realized that the thing that was making her insane was all the things she was thinking. That the thoughts were the poison. And that it's like recently I have something that makes me anxious coming up in my life again,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., I may not have enough money if because I can't make the income that I was making before when I saw clients here,
Mm-hmm.
and I was making myself sick. And then I started doing this. Well, how would I feel without this thought? and
Pretty
and I
good.
also it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I was also thinking, here's the other thing that I was thinking, a poisonous thought, is my life is over. I'm going to be 70 in January.
No.
And
No.
yeah,
Stop.
you know that
I know, I know.
the big 7-0. And all of a sudden it's like, well, all of our lives could be over in a blink. It can always be like that. But if I'm believing that my life is over, then I'm much more likely to attract that kind of level of malaise and that kind of level of not being fully alive. I was basically manifesting not being fully alive because I believed that my life was over. And that was crazy. Crazy, the crazy uncle in my head or the crazy aunt in my head, telling me that everything is a disaster. I started to believe it. And not that we don't have enough reason to believe that everything is a disaster these days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm there with, I'm there with, I'm hearing you on FM. as it were.
Yeah.
Um, and
And,
yeah,
but it's like in this moment, I have all the money I need. I have safety. I have the love of my friends. I'm sitting talking to one of my loving friends. And I have more riches than I allow myself sometimes to come in.
yeah.
But something shifted listening to Byron Katie, recognizing the level of love and joy that she comes in with because she stopped the crazy uncle and aunt in her head. I don't, I think that they talk about the fully awakened, know that there's no problem and everything is great and blissful and all that. And I'm like, I just can't get there. I'm not living that, but I have sipped it. And I'd like to have it. I'd like to have chug it down. Mm.
We'll get you a funnel.
Yes.
Get a beer bong.
Have some more of that.
The joy bong.
Joy.
That's what we'll call it.
Right.
Bliss on tap.
Please.
And and I know about. Well, we've talked a lot back and forth when we're not on live. About the crazy amount of transformation that I've been doing with my stuff since this began. Like I'm back in the studio. I'm making clay stuff again. I started a second YouTube channel. It's only got 2 videos on it right now, but it'll grow. I mean, moving
Right.
my Tai Chi and practice online uh, refocusing in on Patreon and building that and building up my business where I was mostly focusing on teaching at local wellness centers and gyms and just and putting that focus. I stepped down from a leadership in a nonprofit and started just refocusing on my stuff. Um, and like if this was any other time, it would be going like gangbusters, But and at the same time, I'm like, I've had this time to figure stuff out and to figure out what I want because I don't have it right now. And one of us like definitely hugs is on that list. Hugs coming to you.
How
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Hugs from Thomas Mooneagle Hugs, long and awkward, coming to you sometime, hopefully in 2021. You know.
Not awkward for me.
I know.
Not
I know.
awkward.
I have promised people they will be long and they will be awkward. And when we get into a rhythm, I promise to say something really disturbing, like just like that, just like that. Just because
Yes, yes.
yeah, because I have that kind of mind. So we both tried to call each other at the same time. There we go.
Finally.
So what I think what happened is that when you called, I was trying to call you, and when I called, you were trying to call me. So I closed Skype and did it. And it was weird because we were just getting to this really interesting point, and I was like, I was going to tell you this thing, and then but you were stuck on the screen with this very thoughtful look with basically like that. And so that's what everybody will see later. And then for some reason the chat got disconnected again, and it was all strange. But it's
Yeah.
I shall have to make a sacrifice to the streaming gods next time before we do this.
This is a good idea.
Yeah, it's like,
Good
yeah,
idea.
electronic spirits. Spirits of the internet and streaming. Yay. But no, Kyrie was trying to give me good news about stuff, and I just wasn't having it. I was just like, but I don't feel it. I don't, yeah, lots of reforms are going to happen. A lot of the societal changes in the next decade, and it'll be good. I'm like, are you messing with? I was like, I go to my parents. Is he lying? He's like, it's the lower world. We can't lie. So I was like, that's right. So, but I was having trouble taking it in.
Right.
And believing it. And I think part of that is because some people have just been like, everything is wonderful and beautiful. This is the beginning of this. But they don't want to acknowledge, like,
The pain that's
right also
now.
there with it. And so,
yeah.
And I've went too far the other way where I'm like, it's all pain, right? It's all suffering.
Oh.
And
I was working with a client, and she could not even remember what it was like to feel ease. I don't, Christine, sweet Christine, she would love the idea of ease. That was one of the things that she had trouble accessing too. And so I asked this client, when was the last time you felt ease? And she said, oh, I can tell you exactly. It was at the beach. And I said, well, let's go to the beach. And she said, I can feel the sand on my feet. I can feel the movement of the air. And we were working on Zoom, and it was like the energy of her just delight came wafting at me, and I just suddenly got this. I just started to burst into laughter because she just was glowing, and she was just loving it. She was feeling the sweetness of that moment. And it's like, to bring that reality, it's like that's what we think about, we bring about. So when we get totally sucked into this negative and the true pain and chaos, then that's what we're going to experience, of course. And I think we need to honor that. But we also need to give ourselves a little break and go to the beach. we need to Patrick Ziegler is a big teacher for me and a friend. And one of the first early sessions he did with me is he said, now I want you to really think of something that just is a terrible tragedy in your life. Really go into that, think about it, really feel it. And so I'm sitting there crying like crazy. And he says, now take a breath. He says, now I want you to think of something that is absolutely beautiful in your life, something that was very sweet, one of your best memories, and really, really feel that. And I went into that elevated, delicious state. And then he told me to take a breath and go back to the negative. And he did that again and again, back and forth. It was like being a yo-yo. But what I got out of it is the truth of what we think about, we bring about. And that in any moment, we can bring in, if our biochemistry is okay, we can access the sweetness of things that were just purely beautiful in our lives. And in the midst of all this crap that's going on, in the midst of losing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in the midst of the horrors of the racism, experience, acknowledge, do what you can, and then take a break and remember something really beautiful. And one of the things that I think in all of this, there has been beautiful moments in the midst of all this horror.
Mm-hmm.
There have been beautiful moments where people came to each other's rescue, that people came to a loving kindness that, you know, that's there. It's just there. Remember the helpers. Remember the those that run to lift us up. And it's really easy to get with all of it, but we can't. We need to give ourselves a break. We need to go out and walk on the grass. You know, be in nature like you were drumming for the equinox.
That was a big. That's the first time I've gone out like that in forever. I mean, I walk the dog around the neighborhood, but go out to a park, and I walked along. I looked for like the most secluded spot I could find, right? And still, like 3 people walked by and a dog. At one point during the day, I was like, I'm just not gonna make eye contact, and I'm just gonna keep on doing my thing. And it was like I was not there. There was no acknowledgement, even from the dog. So
wow.
I don't know.
Maybe you did that visibility thing you can do sometimes.
Yeah, where I just sort of step sideways out of the world for a minute. Yeah. But yeah, again, it's one of those things where when it happens, the most powerful way is when I'm not necessarily intending that. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Right. It just happens, right? And I don't even know. Maybe they were just really good at ignoring people, you know? So that's also a possibility. But, yeah, there is, like, one other thing that I thought was, you know, we sort of touched on in our private conversations. You know, this role of, well, what is the healer's role? What is the spirit worker's role, or whatever you want to call it? When we come into something, and I've been around people who have a very strong field, and it warps reality around
it. You and I both have been around that, yes.
But also, I've seen that misused. And so, you know, I'm always trying to come to that balance of, like, I want to be effective. I want to, you know, stand in power. But I want to do it in a compassionate way. And, you know, and then, you know, that balance between acceptance, but then power to act. And I'm like, because a lot of times the more power you get to act, the less you'll be like, you're not going to practice acceptance because you don't have to, right? You're just gonna go, change it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that as far as being an energy worker or a healer, the biggest, you know, it's like we have to let the client know that they're doing the
Yeah.
work, that you're giving them tools, and that it's their job to do the work and their job to be open to believe that there are bigger forces.
Uh-oh. She froze. Oh no. Right in the middle of something important too. Ah. I'm hoping it'll come back. There we go.
There we are.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, she was just about to make a really important point. And she froze.
Grace comes in. That's more than,
Yeah.
the human being of us. And we need to prepare the client to be open to it. And it can be, it certainly can be, it's actually probably one of the reasons that I've stepped back some from the energy work, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how to balance that um, people come to me and they want me to make it all good, and I will do what
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
And I want to make it all good. I mean, there's part of me, and the only way, and you and I both know this, the only way to make anything happen is to prepare them, to tell them what they need to do,
Mm-hmm.
and to set the intention, and then to let it go, to come to 0 point, either really wanting it for them and not wanting it not for them. It's like you can't be plus or minus, you have to be right in the middle, and you have to ask for what you need and then let it go, and be open for whatever's going to come in. that i that's not easy,
No. No, I would say not.
but it is powerful when it works. And the person has to be willing to do that too. The person
Yeah.
receiving has to be able to open to that.
Yeah, I get that. That's always a balance. Like, what's my responsibility? What's their responsibility? And really, the people who seem to have the best, you know, response to my work are people that are willing to do things. You know, are willing. They are willing to change something, or even just a lot of times people are like, oh my god, you're gonna give me lots of stuff to do. I'm like, not usually. No, it's usually one or two things, and it's usually not onerous. I mean, it's not you. I'm like, I remember one time I had a client, and they live right near the ocean, and the ocean mother came in during their session, and they said, "Tell me your problems, I'll take them from
Say that
you."
again.
She said, the ocean mother said, "Give me your problems, I'll take them for you. I'll take them from you. Just
Oh,
walk by and tell me your problems."
wow.
And I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." Yeah. And then I talked
Yeah,
to them later. I was like, "So
really.
have you been to do it?" She's like, "Yeah, I did it once." I was like, "What do you mean you did it once?" One time. You live right by the ocean. If I had the ocean mother tell me I'll take your, I'd be walking up and down that beach every day saying, and so said
Like,
this to
here
me,
you go.
and they did that, and oh my god, I can't, So, it's pretty simple. Go to
Wow.
the ocean, walk by her, tell her
Ah,
your problems, she'll take them from you. And I was just amazed, Uh, you know, so some people will do not much. Some people will do exactly, they'll go all in. Some people are just like overachievers. I'm like, okay, just hold your horses there. We'll get, you know, the people that just want to transcend everything right now in the second. I'm like, okay, just back off. Yeah. Slow down, Slim. You know,
right.
because I can't deliver that because I haven't done it yet. I I haven't
Right.
transcended
We're
everything. Yeah,
screwed. We're screwed. No, yeah.
we're so screwed in the best way. Um,
Let's. That'd
that
be
was,
good.
yeah,
I have no
it's been
problem
a
with that.
while. All right,
Been a
I
while.
mean,
Been a
it's
good
been
while.
almost 7 months since a hug. It's been even longer for anything else.
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
Bummer.
I know. Well, One of the things that people's like, oh, that's I'm so sorry. I'm like, it is what it is. That's been my response to a lot of stuff. Like, oh, people bemoaning, I wish you didn't have to do this or that. I'm like, well, I do, and you wishing is not doing anything. So my response is usually, it is what it is. But then I also have words that I start to say, a way shall be found.
I like.
And I have used those words before as not quite like a mantra, but similar. Not even like but like, the last time was in 2017, when I still had Moya, my old car. You remember Moya?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
and I was gonna go back to the Monroe Institute, and my family was worried. They're like, "We don't think your car is gonna make that trip," and I was like, "Well, I want to go. I don't know how. A way will be found." And so I ended up lending money to somebody, and I don't know why I did it. I had this feeling like, yeah, they're probably not going to ever pay this back. And I just said, well, the universe will find some other way to pay me. And sure enough, it just so happened someone in my family decided to get a brand new car that year, and they're like, here, would you want our old one? Which was way newer than the one that I had and had almost laughable miles on it compared to what I'd put on Moya, right? So there was
Right.
the way.
Yep.
And, you know, again, I try to steer away too much from pretty much raw law of attraction, because that stuff is like, it's like a little is okay, a lot is, it's, like anything, a lot, you can OD on that stuff, right? But the way things work is different than people, is usually oversimplified, I think.
I agree.
And if you have the mindset of a way will be found, it means that while you're not, your subconscious is actively looking for that way, even when you're not, and is on alert for a way.
Right.
And then it gives you the ping when the opportunity arrives. On a very just mundane level. Close Skype and then reopen it. I don't know if it's my internet speed or... Yeah, Mystico. It's ringing.
There we go.
I know. I don't know if it's my internet speed or if it's the program and the network with Skype. It may be a little bit of both. But
Well, it's already 20 after,
I
so
know.
we might want
Yeah, because we're gonna wrap it up. But part of the reason we went over is because we kept getting like interrupted right when we were getting to some like really juicy stuff.
Of course, that's the way it works.
We got to get this to work though, so we can do this again, because this has been great. I'm like, I like it. It's like, I like talking to Sherry all the time, so
Yeah, we're used to doing this.
we do. We talk about all sorts, and sometimes we bitch, just privately. And
really, I don't remember any of that.
we gossip about people we don't like.
It's like when you laughed, it's like, I don't know, you moved in a way that the room went dark.
It might be my lighting setup. And the way the camera catches it, it's like, no, my laughter brought in the dark force. The abyss opened, right?
Yes.
But no, I was like, I want to get Sherry back on, because I feel like I do want to wrap this up with her on the call.
Right.
So, I mean, I've put your website link in the description for the video, so
thank you.
that people can find you. And you do have the Tuesday night, every week, with suggested love donation, right? On that's via Zoom.
I've started, like you use the cards. I've decided that I'm going to be starting to do readings, because I realize that it's a fabulous avenue to do some of the coaching that I have.
Yeah.
Through doing the readings. So I'm going to work with that some with folks.
It's fun stuff.
And may I say that you are fabulous in your
Well,
readings.
thank
I
you.
think you do a beautiful job.
That's because you let me. Okay. I would say, the big thing about getting readings and getting healing is if you let the person, and that's the establishing rapport is like the most, like when I have rapport with someone, it's easy to read with them, and that
Right,
doesn't
right.
necessarily mean I know them. It just means that we have we gel.
Work.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I've always been amazed, like the difference between that and then somebody who's just like, oh, this is like pulling teeth. Everything is, and I can,
They're not telling me what I want you to tell me.
yeah,
They
and
come particular.
I can still do it, but it's so much more work, and I feel like they don't get as much out of it, um, because it's like I'm having to fight with them, I'm having to and to see, I'm having to like move them out of the way to see, right? Like you're
Right,
standing right
right,
in my sight line, get out of the way.
right. Yeah.
So I mean, and the same thing with energy work, and I know I'm difficult to read for a lot too, or accept healing work. I can be very difficult to work with, as far as on
Yeah.
the receiving end, because I'm so like on guard all the time. And so
Mm.
it's the big part is like if I will let my guard down, then it's a lot easier for people that I've told you the story when someone was on cranial sacral, when someone was trying to push into the heart and get the heart protector to open, and it kept getting more solid and more dense the more they tried to
Uh-huh.
push in. And I was sitting there because I got this picture in my head from the Wizard of Oz with the little guy who comes out of the door and he says, "Nobody gets in to see the Great Oz, nobody not know how," and he slams the door. And so I had to tell them that, and they finally stopped trying to do it. I mean, it's funny, but it was
Yes.
also kind of sad. But but it was
Yes.
the same thing.
Yes.
It's like you can't push in. You have to really allow. And
Yeah.
don't freeze the screen. I was saying
So
that
what did you say?
uh, you know, I was saying that you're really good about creating that space where the very vulnerable people who've been vulnerable, people who've been traumatized, can relax enough to allow the healing in, to allow some movement to happen. So,
Yes, thank you. And I think you're good at that as well, dude.
uh, no, and
You are.
Sherry's one of the very few people I will let work on me. So I have a very, very, very short list. So thank you so much for coming on tonight and putting up with technology with me.
You are welcome.
And guys, check Sherry out. Her website is in the video description. And of course, as always, if you want to follow me on Patreon and support me, awesome. We love that. And until next month, I'll have another wonderful live stream up available. We'll see if I can iron out the kinks with this. If not, it'll just be me until I can figure another way to do this. So,
It's been fun here.
yeah, will you
Thank
stay
you.
on the line with me for just a minute after I end the stream? So we can
Yep.
chitty chat just a tiny bit? All right. Peace and blessing, guys. End the stream. And the stream is ended.